What strikes me, I mean, doing what Dominic and I do is absolutely fantastic. You know, we have a ringside seat of the economy, bird's eye view of the economy almost. We get tremendous access to all these amazing CEOs, people like Mike. And what a lot of them have said over the last 6 months particularly is, we're doing okay. It's not that bad. Don't like to shout about it. We're doing all right. And you actually see it in some of the numbers. For example, Next yesterday, which is right in the, it's a retailer, it's right in the eye of the hurricane. Their half-year sales are up 3.3%. Now that's not fantastic, but they are growing. This morning, Unilever has reported sales growth for the third quarter of 7.6%. Better than the market expected. BT has put out their half-year results, again better than the market expected. So there are some good signs out there. The trouble is, and this is probably where I part company with Alan, is that I think that we are in a political crisis. I do think issues like, it's fun, a lot of CEOs say there was a real drop-off in confidence. Certainly anyone that's exposed to consumer spending, they saw it, funnily enough, not with the latest rows over the Eurozone and the Greek bailout. They actually saw it with the rows over the US debt ceiling. We haven't really talked about America at all. Any business person that's exposed to the United States will tell you that there was a real drop-off in demand when the politicians were rowing over whether America could borrow any more money. And I think that's where the whole leadership question comes in. It also pertains to the point that Dominic was making. He's absolutely right about the city, by the way. You talk to anyone in the city now and they just say, well, this is not a political crisis. This is a political crisis. It's not an economic crisis. It's not down to markets. It's not even down to business people to lead us out of this. The politicians have got to sort out the Eurozone. Same as the politicians in the United States had to sort out the debt ceiling. So I think that's where political leadership comes in. And to my mind, whilst I've been quite encouraged by a lot of the things that the coalition has done, they've come up, for example, public sector pensions, which are desperately in need of reform. It's rather unnerving to watch them sliding and backsliding in the way that they did yesterday. That said, I think the rhetoric for the first 12 months of the 18 months of the coalition has all been about cut, austerity. You've got to tighten your belt. At some point, they're going to have to switch the dial to growth. I thought George Osborne would do that in the budget earlier this year, and he didn't. He's got another great opportunity on November the 29th with the autumn statement. I would hope there to hear more about growth rather than austerity. I think Alan made a very good point, and again, this comes back to confidence. You've got to get confidence going in the economy, and I do think the politicians have a part to play there. CEOs are nervous about talking up their prospects. They are nervous about saying, we're doing okay. They don't want to talk about it loudly. Why not? They'll get pilloried by people like those guys outside St Paul's Cathedral at the moment. There is no upside for you as a CEO at the moment to say, well, we're doing okay. Alan mentioned the 600 billion that UK FTSE 100 companies are sitting on. Again, I'd slightly part company with Alan there because the FTSE 100 is not a barometer of the UK economy anymore. You see it on the 10 o'clock news on the BBC every night. The FTSE did this, the FTSE did that, and you're supposed to divine from that whether it was a good day in the markets. The FTSE 100 is dominated by companies that have nothing to do with the UK anymore. You've got a dozen mining companies over here who in some cases their only exposure to the UK is a brass plate on a door in St James's. Eurasian Natural Resources, a company about which we in the Times broke a number of stories earlier this year, by the way. It's a Kazakh copper miner. Kazakh Miss, another one. In the FTSE 100, we've all got investments in it in our pension. Is their well-being anything to do with the UK economy as such? No, not at all. You have to look below the FTSE 100, you have to look to the mid 250. You also, crucially, have to look to the SME sector. The SMEs employ 50% of the UK population. That's where you need to get growth coming from. That's where you've got to get confidence coming from. And again, I think that's where the politicians really have to stand up and be counted.